What up, everybody? What up, everybody? Let me get to the spot. Hey, everybody. What is going on? This is Plan Your Greatness, and I am your gracious host, Carlton Hamilton. And let's get started today. Today is Thoughtful Thursday. Yes, it is. And I've got a question for you. Are you unbreakable? We're going to discuss that here on Thoughtful Thursdays on the Plan Your Greatness channel. Hey, we are back. We're here on Thoughtful Thursdays on the Plan Your Greatness channel. And the question I'm asking you today is, are you unbreakable? Because this week we're answering the question, how? And yes, for the past 20 years, since May 31st, 1999, when I was released from prison, I have been asked that question, Carlton, how did you do it? How do you do it? And at the beginning, I couldn't tell you because I was right in the middle of actually doing it. But when you look at the recidivism rate, it's ridiculous. It's through the roof. When you look at just what happens to individuals that get caught up in our criminal justice system, a lot of times they don't make it out. And in the 20 years since I've been out of prison, I've become a college graduate, a father, an author, a motivational speaker, a business owner, and a social media influencer. So, I've run the gamut of living really like a second life, the things that I've created since after baseball and going to prison. And so the book that I wrote that actually has inspired this channel, which is Plan Your Greatness, Life, Love, and Business After Sports and Prison, it tells the story of how I actually got into baseball. And then it tells you how I overcame all the obstacles after leaving the game of baseball. Because again, I'm asked this question quite often. How did I do it? How did I get through? So it's been a question that I've thought about, and I've actually answered it because I've wrote about it. And so in order for me to tell you a little bit about why I'm asking the question, like, are you unbreakable? I have to take you back, and I have to take you back all the way to the beginning and give you a little bit of a chronological, order journey on how I got to this point. And so after you reach this point in life, and I've had this conversation with my kids, after you can read, write, you have basic understanding of problem solving, you can kind of comprehend what you're reading, comprehend life situations, you have those basic things down. At that point, you are really very much in control of your life. I don't care what age it is. You could come to the realization of this. And I believe every child really comes to the realization of this understanding, probably around the age of 13. And at that point, in my opinion, you are absolutely 100% responsible and control of your life. Even though you are living up under your parents' roof, you can look around and say, I'm going to make this decision or I'm not going to make this decision. Your parents are providing a roof over your head. They're providing food. They're encouraging you to go, different activities, participate in sports. But what you do in the context of being in the classroom, on the field, that is absolutely 100% under your control. So again, once that happened, and I'm using myself as an example. Once that happened, now I started moving along in my life. But here's the thing. We're going to go back a little ways. I say about 13 is where once you get a grasp of that. But in my situation, I'm going to speed through this a little bit. When I was born into a family, 7th of 9 children. That has its dynamics right there. Then after being born in that family, I was moved along through the educational system because I was entered into it at a very young age. Okay, so I was moving through this system without the skills and also bringing the baggage of a dysfunctional home, a physically and mentally abusive father. He was womanizing. He was spending the extra money. He had a gambling problem. And so my mom was having to navigate all this while trying to raise 9 children. Now just think about that dynamics. And then I'm entered into the school system earlier. So now I'm having to be put into special ed because I'm not up to par. So here I am going through the system, and the only thing that's keeping me glued to this system is because I had athletic ability, playing sports, running track, running cross country, playing basketball. Those were the things that kept me in school. But by the time I reached graduation, I was only fit to score an 11 on the college entrance exam. The maximum of that exam is a 36. So that tells you where I was academically. And actually kind of show it was my grade point average, which was 1.51. So that tells you I didn't graduate very well prepared for life. And so the biggest cushion and what I call an illusion of progress was when I was recognized as a professional athlete and drafted to play professional baseball. So now everything was kind of wiped away. I'm playing sports, so nobody could really see it because it wasn't necessary for me to read on a regular basis, really comprehend stuff other than sports, which I could get away with because I was a good athlete. So then now I'm going through my professional career. I'm rocketing through the organization. I'm ranked as one of the top athletes, pitchers in professional baseball. But then I get injured. So now everything that I had skipped over is now coming back to life. The lack of education that I had, the lack of a skill that I had. And then I fell into this whole depressed mindset. And so what that was accelerated by was my mindset saying that, hey, I can't fit in this world. And I didn't find this out until I studied later on. You know, I got my degree in sociology, but I didn't understand the term trained incapacity until I read about it, which means that an individual takes his skill set and is so focused and only sees his skill set working in that particular area and doesn't see how it translates into other areas. I was very much that. So again, I went from depression to being very irresponsible, could not hold a relationship down, could not hold myself in school. I could not be consistent in my employment. So that ended up spiraling me into homelessness. And then the homelessness, I'm messing around with other individuals. And now that ended up getting me involved in an armed robbery, which results in me going to prison. So now if you take all those things together, as I said before, are you unbreakable? At every moment, dysfunctional home, special ed, barely learning anything through the school system, getting injured in baseball, leaving the game of baseball, being depressed, not knowing where I was going, being irresponsible in life, messing up jobs, education, relationships, bam, it involves me into a crime, I go into prison. At every one of those moments, I could have allowed the system to, just break me completely. You can see that I was broken, cracked, but I wasn't completely broken. So now I look back on that, and that's why I asked you the question, are you unbreakable? Because at all of those moments, I could have just completely fallen off the wagon. Now, going to prison, you can say, yeah, brother, you fell off the wagon. Yeah, I sure did. But what happened is I didn't do anything so detrimental to where my life was completely over. I was at bottom, and I think I hit bottom several times. But here I am explaining to you, are you unbreakable? Have you gone through some things, and are you out on the other side? Because if you are on the other side, you can look back, as I look back now, and I said, there is nothing, no situation that you could put me in that I can't get through. Because I've been through the worst of the worst of the worst. And now, because of that, I look at myself and I am absolutely 100% unbreakable. I did not quit. And so any sort of setback that I face now, I look at it just, this is temporary. It's not going to last forever. And so think about being in a situation, I'm talking to you. Now, look at this for a second and let's make a comparison. Think about your worst possible situation you have gone through outside of being locked up in prison. Think about that for a second. Now, if you look at that and you go, oh my God, that was the worst moment, relationship, whatever, something that really just resonates with you. What are you able to do at that point? If you lost the dream job, you can go get another one. If you lost the dream girl, you can go get another one. If anything happens, a sibling dies, a parent dies, and you think you can't get over that, imagine having to face that situation while you're in prison, where you can't go anywhere, you can't call anybody, you can't do anything, you can't order some food that makes you feel, you can do none of that. So that's what I was going through, is that I was facing my toughest challenge of how I was feeling about myself, how I was trying to recreate a better mindset. And I was doing all of that while I was incarcerated. So anytime I had any very positive, high thoughts about myself, I then had to open my eyes and look around and realize I was in a cell, couldn't move, couldn't do anything, couldn't watch something. I couldn't watch Netflix or something and, eat some popcorn and just kind of sink into, or watch some, I didn't have YouTube where I could watch Dr. Eric Thomas or Tony Robbins or some motivational person and get all fired up and go run outside and take a run or go to the gym if I wanted to lose weight. I had none of that. I just had to stare at the wall, and I had to sustain my focus, because I said, you know what? I got to stay focused with this, because I can't give up now. I can't be broken. I can't allow this situation to break me. And so, understanding that, I asked the question again, are you unbreakable? Are you at a point where you say, you know what? I've been through enough. I'm going to at least, let's look at it. Let's look at it this way. Okay. I hear people talk about situations, and what they'll give me is excuse after excuse after excuse. So what I then, as I'm helping them try to turn this thing around, I said, okay, let me ask you a question. The situation you're in is, if it is so dire that you don't think you can do anything about it to change, then what is it that if you actually even try to do something, you got nothing to lose? Because if you believe that this isn't going to work, why don't you try something? You say, well, I've got nothing to lose. Try something. If it doesn't work, you will be right back in the same situation that you're in right now. If it does, hallelujah. You done took action, and you know what? It worked. So you've got nothing to lose. So that's why, I have very little patience when I hear somebody just bitching and moaning and complaining about a situation. I go, well, instead of just bitching and moaning and complaining, that's not helping. How about you try something? If it doesn't work, you can always go right back to bitching and moaning and complaining. And so what I'm actually saying to you now is that in the example that I'm giving you is that many of you have gone through stuff, and you actually, as I'm saying, you've gone through stuff. And even if you're in the middle of going through stuff, just remember, you've got nothing to lose. If it just seems just unbearable, then just say, oh, it's unbearable. Let me just try something. Whatever it is, let me try something. And if you can switch yourself into that mindset of understanding that whatever situation you're in, you're going to at least try, because if it breaks you, at least you're in the midst of trying. If you take that approach, you will absolutely be on the path to planning your greatness. All right. So here's my call to action. My call to action is find something that you really want to accomplish that you gave up on. And make sure it's something that is beneficial to you. Like some people say, well, I'm going to go back and I gave up on the violin and I'm going to start doing it now. I said, okay, well then what would be the point of going back and learning the violin? It might be, well, at least I finished that. I said, okay, great. But let's try to find something that we are going to apply to now. Something that we gave up on, that if we go back and look at it, something within reason, something that's applicable to what you're doing. And I challenge you to go try to do that, because what you're doing is you're creating an unbreakable spirit that what it was before kind of broke you down. And so now I say, go back and find something that you gave up on. Maybe you didn't, and I'm saying it could be school. You gave up on school. Look at it and say, does it have value for me to go complete? I challenge you to go back. If there was maybe some, and for the other people, maybe it's your relationship that you guys are on the verge of giving up on your relationship. Say, okay, well then let's not let this break us. Let's try to work through it, because if it gets to a point where it says we tried everything, then by all means you move on. But at least give yourself an opportunity to go back and maybe repair something that had some value to it that you can take forward. All right. So now make sure you are hitting the like button, the share button, the subscribe button. We are also on Instagram. We are on Twitter for updates. This stuff carries over into the Facebook page, so you'll be able to pick up some of that stuff. I do little clips on there as well. And just as I'm saying right now, these are all opportunities for you to look at your life and start planning your own greatness. All right, I will end every week or every day that I do this with my famous words, and that is plan your greatness. You know why? Yeah, because no one else will. I will see you all next Thursday on Thoughtful Thursdays here on the Plan Your Greatness channel.
Young boy
you guys take care, and thanks for joining me.
No one knew he was home. No one said, hey, what's up?